So today I want to talk about the one thing that actually had the most impact on my life when I was at my worst. When I took that year off because I thought I was dying, I had literally gotten sick from thrush and I had blood in my throat and blood in my urine. This is the process I used, the basic process, super simple, letting go to radically shift my life. I dove in, I went all for it because basically I had nothing else to lose. And in 1 year, not only did my health get better, a $2 million a year business grew back around me after I restarted my business back up. I was shocked to see all the changes that happened. Now, I've seen these changes in client after client, year after year. I've seen it in other people that use letting go around the world. It's a simple process for changing your life. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you the emotional scale. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show you how it works and how powerful it is. But in the beginning, I didn't even use the emotional scale. I just sat down with somebody and practiced feeling and facing every single emotion, memory, and thought that was going on in my body. I looked right at it, said, I can handle looking at this. And I sat with it, felt it fully, and just watched it dissolve, one after another after another. And in that process, I began to watch my body heal. I began to watch my life change. And I know that you can do the same thing. Before we get started, where does letting go come from? Letting go comes from a guy named Levinson, who created the Sedona Method. Some of you might have heard of him. Lester, every video, every clip, every bit of information I've got on him, he seems like an absolutely amazing guy. And I love learning more and more about Lester. Lester basically was sent home to die. And in the process of going home to die, he decided he wanted to learn to be happy. As he looked deep inside to try to understand what happiness was, he determined that happiness was love. He remembered when he was the happiest in life was when he was loving other people. So he began a nonstop journey of practicing having love for every memory that ever traumatized him. Anybody he was holding less than love with. He started with the doctor that sent him home to die, and he continued on after that. He went through his whole life from childhood forward. And in that process, not only did he get happier and happier, he began to heal. He got stronger, he got healthier, and he lived to be around, I think, 87 years old. Now, one of Lester's students was a man named David Hawkins, who wrote the book Power versus Force. You probably have all heard of David Hawkins. He also wrote the book Letting Go, which is an extension of Lester's work. And so what I've got here is I've got the emotional scale. We're going to talk about this simple technique based on this emotional scale. Now, the emotional scale goes from heaviest to lightest. And by the way, if you know the emotional scale, you'll see this is an extension. This is more of Hawkins' scale, all the way up to reason. And that scale continues on above that. Lester's scale was a little bit smaller. Sometimes I use Lester's, but lately I've been using more and more of Hawkins. And in my videos, as I go forward and add more details, you're gonna understand more and more why that is. Now, the bottom of the scale is the inward emotions. These are the heaviest emotions. It goes heaviest to lightest as we go up. Shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear are all inward emotions. So in your life, the most painful emotions you could ever feel or it would be shame. And shame is I hate myself, and guilt is I did something bad. Apathy is like a numbing agent, the way I see it. This is my interpretation. If I have too much shame and guilt, it becomes unbearable. So I'll wrap apathy around it. Apathy is pointlessness, I give up, depression, heaviness. And inside of the apathy is typically, as you open it back up, is a lot of shame and guilt. Now, as you come up the emotional scale, you're gonna see grief here. Grief is crying out. Apathy is what's the point? Like think of Winnie the Pooh, what's his name? Eeyore, right? What's the point? And then grief is like, somebody save me, somebody help me. When you begin to open up the apathy again, when you begin to remove the scab of apathy from something that's buried, that's really painful, you begin to grieve. And that's where we typically cry, we begin to hurt, we begin to go through a lot of emotions. That's healthy, that's healing. Typically that's healing. And then from there, as the grief starts to resolve itself, we go into fear. Fear that something bad's gonna happen, something's gonna go wrong. It's just this natural, because there's so much pain going on, there's this fear. And by the way, guilt always engenders more fear. So the fear is stuck inside you, and as you're resolving the grief, that fear is coming to the surface. In my mind, all of this boils down to fear. And what we're trying to do is we're either collapsing beneath the fear or we're fighting with the fear when we go up. So everything down here is typically inward. It's an inward emotion. They're like me, me, me. I'm scared. Please save me. Oh, what's the point? I'm never going to get by. I'm never going to have enough money. I used to hear the word pointlessness or pointless in my head all the time. Guilt and shame. These are inner. And you could say selfish emotions. They're all about the self. You're looking at self all the time, worried about self, focused on self. So people that are at this level of emotion have the smallest, most collapsed fields. They're kind of inward and shut down. When we go up a little bit, we go up into lust, anger, and pride. This is also wanting, desire. And up here, these are all outward emotions. Okay? So this is you pushing and forcing. Inward emotions, outward emotions. I'm gonna force. Get up here, let's say you get up to anger and you're like, fuck that fear, I'm gonna go deal with this situation. Let's say you're feeling some guilt and then you go into what we call reaction formation. That's where you might go into anger or pride to deal with that guilt. You feel the guilt, you feel the shame, and then you say, well, I'm gonna attack that person so I don't have to feel it. I'm gonna make what I did wrong about that person or that situation. Or I might even attack myself. But the proper use of this is actually courage, which we'll get to in a second. So anger is typically lose. Pride is win-lose. And courage is win-win. And when you hit these emotions at this level, now you're like that arrow, you're pointing out and you're fighting against the world. This is why Lester Levinson would say that releasing is getting everything down here out of your system. It's getting the push and pull out of your body so the world stops pushing and pulling back. It's getting the fight out of you. And this is a constant cycle that happens in the world. We cycle between these two states. This is a polarity, you could say. And what I mean by this is, and you can see this in your own life, put it in the comments if you see it. Inward, poor me, I got to deal with life sucks, what's the point? And then outward, fuck it, I'm going to go deal with it, I'm going to go get that job, I'm going to go make it happen, and then we go into force. So up here we see a lot of force. And down here you hear a lot of should, I wish I could, have to. So this is all like, I have to do this. Up here is I'm going to force it, I'm going to make that reality happen. So then we get up here, and this is where the magic happens. Courage. Courage is the first emotion of win-win. The way we use courage in this is we use the original definition of courage. The original definition of courage was speaking one's heart. It comes from the root word core. And it's your ability to courageously speak strong vulnerability and be honest about what you're feeling. The moment you hit courage, it doesn't mean this goes away. It means that I can now courageously say, I'm scared. I'm feeling fear. I'm nervous, but I can face it. I can handle it. You can either be identified with the fear controls me, or you can use courage to look at the fear and say, I can handle that fear. Neutrality is once you've gotten good with courage and you look at something that's really hard to look at down here, you reach a point of neutrality where you're comfortable looking at it. When you got past neutrality, you get to willingness, the willingness to see a whole new way of being, this whole new possibility. When you get and then from willingness, you come to acceptance. And acceptance is not resignation, that's down in apathy. Acceptance is love. Like fully, this is perfect just the way it is, that type of acceptance. And then we get up to reason. And reason is understanding. I don't want to understand, which comes from here, I understand. And that's the magic of letting go. This part up here is flow. This is where flow happens. This is where life becomes giving. And this is where life becomes easy. This is the magic of letting go. Down here, life is stingy. Up here, life is giving. Now, each one of these emotions you feel in your body is a vibration. And you're putting that vibration to the world. If you're walking around in these lower states of being, you're going to cause yourself to push away on the world. Let's say you're wanting to go out and be a salesman from down here. You're going to lose sales like crazy. Anything you think about from these states of being is going to be pushed away from you. I want to make a sale today. They're going to get farther and farther away, because as you feel this, you're going to be collapsed. You're going to be shut down. Up here, you're going to have a battle. You'll probably have successes and failures. It'll be exhausting. This is where I made myself sick, with all the energy drinks, the rock stars, the Ritalin pushing and forcing my life forward. Up here, life becomes easy. Life becomes giving. Life becomes flow. Life becomes win-win. And this is where we ultimately want to live. Now, you're not going to be up here all the time, especially in the beginning. But as time goes on and you start to live up here 60, 70, 80% of the time, life becomes more and more giving. And the reason I called my old company True Courage is because courage is the first emotion. If you can master courage, you can master the gateway to these upper states. Courage, your courageous ability to be vulnerable and honest and authentic and real with what you're feeling, your pride, your anger, your lust, your grief, your fear, whatever emotions you're going through, and they're going to be layered, is your ability to go free. And that's the power of this. Now, all I want you to do is take a thought, take something that's bothering you in your life, something simple. Make a little list of things that you want to work on, things you want to let go, things that you have lower emotions attached to. And I want you to number them on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, this is really painful, I can barely look at it, and 1 being super light. And what I want you to do is pick the 3s, at the most pick 4s, and that's what we're going to work on here. Just for practice, just to get the basics down. And we want to start with easy stuff. If you keep working through the easy stuff, eventually the hard stuff becomes easier and easier. Every release you do reclaims energy for the body. It allows the body to heal, allows the traumas to resolve themselves a little bit at a time. And with time, as you let go more and more, you build more confidence, more possibility, more lightness, more ease. And then the things that were high on the scale, the 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s, start to come down. They get easier and easier to let go of. Before we get started, I want to give an example. I had a client who hated bird scooters. I was in Los Angeles and I asked him to pick something very simple. He had a little mild just frustration with these scooters, and he went for a walk on lunch. And he did the exact process. He saw the bird scooters. He originally wanted to throw them like over a fence and throw them in a trash can, whatever. He wanted to destroy them. A lot of people were throwing them in the canals in Venice Beach, down in Los Angeles. And that was hilarious to me. And when he came back, he says, they don't bother me at all anymore. I completely let it go. Matter of fact, it's just no more big deal. And that's what I'm talking about. Start with something simple, and then we're going to build our way up to the harder and harder things. That's how I changed myself that year. I went through 1% like crazy, little 1% change all day long until my whole life shifted. So first question is, what is the now, and this is the key word, feeling? Ask yourself that question. I'm going to emphasize this word right here, now. We're going to circle it. What is the now feeling? In the case of the bird scooter, he felt frustrated and he felt annoyed by them, right? The now feeling in his body was annoyance. So the first thing you do is you ask your heart to open, you relax, you feel your chest, you get out of your head, you relax your mind, relax your thinking, feel your heart. If you can, feel your stomach. This is part of the embodiment piece. The more you feel your body, the better this is going to go. And then what is the now feeling? Where do you feel it in the body? And just be with that for a moment. Not what did you feel in the past when you had a bad experience? Not what are you feeling in the future when you're projecting out in the future, but what are you feeling right now when you bring that memory up? If he had a bad experience with the bird scooter, for example, tripped over it and hurt his leg, there was a feeling at that time. But now there's the now feeling. And as he remembers that moment, right now he might feel something different. So that's the first question. And then I want you to sit with that now feeling. Okay, this is question number 1. Number 2, can I let this go? And I want you to notice that word can right here. Can I? He didn't say you were gonna let it go, just can you? You know, you don't have to let it go. You can even say no to this question. The key here is authenticity. Give an authentic answer. Fuck no, no, yes, yeah. And I found the more authentic somebody is, the better this whole process goes. So sit with that feeling for a moment. Let go of the resistance to this question, can I let this go? And just be with it for a moment. Would I let this go? The key word here is would. Now again, we didn't say you're definitely going to let it go. The question there is, would I let this go? You could. Would I? Maybe, yeah. Sit with that, feel that in your body. You're literally loosening the feeling up a little bit at a time with each one of these questions. And then the last question that we're gonna ask, we'll go back to the green, is when would I let this go? Right now? In an hour? In a week? Again, be authentic, be real. I've had clients, I'll say, what's the now feeling? They'll sit with it, they'll be a little uncomfortable, especially when it's more intense, like maybe it's something deeper. Then they ask, can I let it go? And it's like, no. And then suddenly they feel a little lighter. They get a little release right there. No again. I've had them say, F no. And I've had them say, I had to coach them into it, F no. And then they feel lighter. Would I let this go? And then they start laughing a little bit. Yeah, maybe, yeah. No, I don't want to. And then they feel better again. And then we call that reverse wiring, when the no's work for you. And then when would I let this go? And sometimes it's right now. Sometimes it's in a week, sometimes it's an hour. You might say, your mind might pop up the word a week. You say a week and then you get an immediate release, because the authenticity is the key. Okay? And what you're gonna notice is that all the emotions that he felt when I used the bird scooter example were in anger. They were frustration, annoyance, right? For you, it might be a little different. You might feel fear about public speaking. The first time I public spoke in school, I wish I had this. I love to public speak now, but back then I was terrified. Can I welcome the now feeling of being terrified of public speaking? Can I welcome the shaking, my heart pulling in, my nervousness, my sweating? Can I be with that? I can actually remember it right now. What is the now feeling for me right now? Is this slight shake and nervousness. It's so clear to me. I remember the class I was in and everything in high school. Can I let this go? And my mind is going, no. And it just loosened already. My mind is saying, it's just angry. It's like, fuck this, fuck no. And I can hear it saying that. And it already loosened again. Would I let this go? It's saying no again. I'm being stubborn inside. I can hear it. And then when? And then it's yes. And then I feel better. Sometimes, and a lot of people, most people will just get little yeses all the way through, and then they do it again. You might have to cycle through one of these emotions, like let's say the public speaking, and now it feels very different when I think of that memory. It's not 100% cleaned up, so I'd cycle through again. I would do the same process. I'd go through the now feeling, the images, the thoughts, and I come back. Can I let it go? Would I let it go? Even saying it right now, I feel it releasing again. And I keep going through it until eventually I start to feel clear courage, willingness, love. I'm working to get to acceptance. Okay? So hopefully this helps you. This is the basics of letting go. It goes much deeper. When we add embodiment to it, it gets even more powerful. And with that said, I want to invite you to check out my membership site. Next month, we're going to be doing a month-long teaching on energetic revealing mastery, which is my version of this. It adds embodiment, energetic principles, all the stuff I've learned over the last more than 10 years of working with clients on this, maybe 15. And it's going to be a powerful training for 1 month straight. Anybody that's part of my membership site gets to be a part of that as part of the program, the training of that. Now, with that said, I want to share one more thing with you. Lester Levinson loves to talk about how he went all the way to the top of the emotional scale. And I want to share the rest of the emotional scale with you. Above reason, we end up with love. Now, all of these emotions have love in them. That's why they heal when you start to hit these states. But then you hit this pure love, which is where you're just starting to have overwhelming love for everybody. And then from there, we go up to joy. We start, because we're feeling so much love, there's so much more joy in the world. There's so much more joy in your life and in the world, and you begin to see it everywhere. Then you go up to peace, which is where Lester Levinson's scale ended, but this is where Hawkins added more to it. And then you end up in enlightenment. Now, Lester Levinson would have called that imperturbability. David Hawkins puts that as enlightenment. And there's a whole slew of levels of consciousness if you read Hawkins' book above that. But most people, they really just want to get here. And deep spiritual seekers want to work to get and live up here all the time. It's really your choice. Once you start to live from courage, though, this is the one thing I want to say. Your life's going to get better and better and better. Your life's going to begin to grow. When you begin to relate to all the lower emotions from courage, everything is going to change. If you like this, definitely check out the membership site. Comment below what you're working on. If you want more information on this stuff, like this is just kind of a cursory overview and you want to go deeper and you really want to understand more about letting go, also comment below. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have a beautiful day.